Some people, Drew, might suggest that you're a relatively accomplished shit talker yourself. Who would be on your Mount Rushmore of on-course shit talkers?
Oh, on course.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. This is No Putts Given, episode number 85. I've got Harry, Chris, Tony, and special guest this week, Drew Stoltz. Everybody, welcome, Drew.
What up, Drew?
Welcome me. Thank you, boys.
It's good to have you. So I want to give our audience a little bit of an introduction to you. You host two podcasts, correct? One called Gary and the Sleeze, which I'll let you explain the Sleeze part in a minute. And
Okay.
Also Subpar, which you co-host with Colt Notes, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So the podcast is Golf Subpar. That's with like golf.com, 8 a.m. golf, all those. There were 1 day a week podcasts. I would say it's like golf centric, mostly golf guests, PGA Tour players, things like that. And then we'll get athletes and people from outside of golf, but it always kind of like ties back to golf. Yeah. The other one is actually a radio show on Sirius XM. It's called Gravy and the Sleeze. So I do that with Colt Nost as well. His nickname coming up, I don't even know when he got it. And by the way, like, not very many people actually call him Gravy, but so they called him Big Gravy for a while. So we just took both of our nicknames, Gravy and the Sleeves. When we first gave it to Sirius XM, they were like, no, you got to change it. You can't have the word sleaze in it. And then we went back and I was like, well, I don't know what else to call it. And it's kind of a spoof on like corny radio names, like, you know, Iron and the Douche or whatever, if you've ever watched, you know, like that. I was like, this sounds just corny enough to be a radio name, but it's also both of our nicknames. So it worked out. And yeah, we go Gravy and the Sleeves. That's Monday through Wednesday, 12 to 2 Eastern.
You got to tell us where sleaze come from, though, because
yeah, I want to
every
know.
time I introduce you to friends or people or whatever, they're like, oh, this buddy Sleeze, like, oh, sounds like a great person to leave around kids, you know, or whatever. Yeah. Like,
I feel like when I get introduced to other people my age or younger and they're like, hey, this is my boy Sleeze, like no one really bats an eye. But then it's like when you get to the older crowd, like if it's someone introduced me to their parents or like a friend or someone at the golf course and they're like, are you the one they call Sleeze? I'm like, oh, shit. You know, you already start off like a couple steps behind. But it's actually, it was given to me by a buddy of mine. Nickel, you probably know him, is Derek Tolan, right?
Yep.
So he's a Colorado golfer, was a stud junior golfer, qualified for the U.S. Open at 16 or whatever. We actually nicknamed him Peak 16 because he peaked at age 16 and that was kind of the highlight of his life. So we call him Peak 16, which is an awesome nickname. But it came like just out of nowhere, dude. We were down here playing. I took him out to Whisper Rock one day and we were playing. It was kind of a nasty cold day. Like it wasn't nice. It was in the winter. And as I'm accustomed to doing, wasn't hitting it perfectly, missing a lot of greens, but I was getting up and down from everywhere. And meanwhile, Derek was like, you know, hitting the middle of the fairway, middle of the greens, two putting for par. I was hitting it, missing the fairway, missed the green, chip it up stiff, make par, and we'd have. And after about 6 or 7 holes of doing this, he's like, these are some of the sleaziest pars I've ever seen. And like nobody thought anything about it, right? You know what I mean? Like it was just a throwaway comment, whatever. Kept playing. Every hole from that point forward, more or less, whenever I'd miss a green, he'd say something like, here comes the sleaze or something like that. Or I'd chip it up there and he's like, this fucking sleazy D or what, you know, like all that type of stuff. And then we got in the clubhouse at the end and dudes are like, hey, how'd you play or whatever. He's like, well, this Sleeze shot 72 with, you know, 5 greens in regulation or whatever. And I had no idea at that day when I left the club, like everyone was going to call me Sleeze from that point. That's where it originated. Derek Tolan, that's his greatest contribution to society since since age 16. Love you, Derek. Love you.
So you, in that story, mentioned Whisper Rock, and that brings us to our mashed potatoes of today's conversation.
Mashed potato!
Guys, Harry, Chris, Tony, you all know about Whisper Rock, but do you think it's fair to say that a good bit of our listeners might not know what Whisper Rock is?
I would say yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty exclusive entity. It definitely has a certain kind of mystique and ambiance around it, and it's it's a totally different type of golf club. Really, really different than almost anywhere else, even within, you know, the number of clubs kind of there in that Scottsdale area.
It's almost like a secret society of golf clubs, right? Like, because from what I know, it has the most PGA professional golf members of any club in the world, correct?
If you know the secret handshake, right, Drew?
Yeah, it's a lot like Skull and Bones. You got to murder somebody to get in, and they got to have some dirt on you, you know, before you can be trusted and all that. No, but I do think, yeah, you're pretty right. I think sometimes you hear the name brought up on a broadcast or something like that, right? Gary McCord is still a member there. Peter Costas, when those guys were working, you might hear it. And now Colt Knost, he's out there doing some broadcasting. And there's so many members. Like Miranda, I think there's, I haven't looked recently, but I bet there's 20 plus maybe PGA Tour players that are members out there. You got a handful of Korn Ferry Tour players. There's a couple Jicky Jack players too. I mean, there's a lot of guys that gravitate towards this place just because, I mean, the golf is fantastic. The golf courses are good. I don't think any one golf course in Arizona is incredible compared to some of the stuff back east or, the kind of the classic golf courses in the United States, but it's more just like the people that you're around. I mean, whether it's Phil Mickelson shows up or Jeff Ogilvy or whoever, like nobody bats an eye. Like you walk in and everyone's treated the same. There's no ego. You check it at the door, and like someone might win a major. They walk in and the next day and one of the staff guys is giving him shit about what he's wearing or something. It's just like, it's the only way I can describe it. It's like, it's the ultimate guys golf club. There's no tennis, there's no pool, there's no nothing. If you're a dude and you like to golf and you're a cool guy and you want to hang out with other guys that have those exact same interests, like there's really no better place that I've seen in terms of, like, we call it the hang. Like you might hear that reference sometime. Like it's all about the hang, right? Really, there's no rules. You can play 6-somes, 8-somes, 12-somes if you can keep up. Dress code's pretty lax. If you get in trouble at Whisper Rock, like you've really done something to deserve it. So it's just a low-key vibe. There's not a lot of pub around the place, but you hear the name brought up a lot, and there's a lot of dudes that can golf their ball around there.
Sounds like a really cheap membership at that course. Sounds like it's going to be really affordable.
Yeah, it's this, it's a one-time entry fee, $100 a month. They keep it light. Yeah. No, it could be a little pricey. I got lucky on that because the way that I got in this place this is actually kind of funny. So I moved out here and I had some friends that were members. When I graduated from TCU in 2007, I moved out here in 2008, and I knew about Whisper Rock. I'd been to Whisper Rock, and it was just like the Mecca. I was just starting my professional golf career. I was like, this is where I need to be. This is where all the good players are. So I'd heard about these junior memberships that they have, right? Which is basically like, if you're a young guy, maybe you haven't made it on tour yet, made a bunch of money, like they offer these junior memberships to guys, and it's way cheap, right? It's like not a lot of money.
What's not a lot of money? Hold on.
Well, I'll say this, it varies, right? I mean, it's kind of build your own plan on that junior program. I don't want to like divulge too much because I think
I'd be the person you'd have to murder.
Yeah, exactly. I could add another body to my resume. It's kind of like a build your own program, right? But the thing is, it's an invitation only deal. So like basically they would do, it kind of varies, but 2 or 3 a year, right? All right. So John Rahm graduates from ASU. He was John Rahm before John Rahm, right? The guy we know now. He's an ASU guy. He'd won everything. He was the next big deal. They offered him a junior membership when John Rahm joined. Okay. John Rahm took that. And then about 2 months later, I think he'd made about $1.5 million on tour, and he paid off his entire membership like in a month. You know what I mean? Like he's probably one of the few guys to ever do that. For the rest of us, it takes a little time, but it's an invitation only is the main thing, right? So they come to you and say, hey, John, we'd like to offer you a junior membership at Whisper Rock. And then you kind of go to them and say, well, here's what I can afford. How can we make it work? They'll make it work for you. If they invite you, they'll work with you, right? Well, I didn't know that part. So I literally like went in there and was like asking like, yo, I would like one of these junior members. It'd be like, I'm like asking for the backstage. I would like to be invited to the Victoria's Secret fashion show. It's like, dude, yes, no shit, buddy. Probably everybody else in the world would like that deal too. And they kind of like politely told me, hey, thanks for your inquiry. If you want to have a full membership and join for all the full boat, let's talk. And I was like, well, I don't have that kind of money. And so basically I was like, see you later. And I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my God, dude, I can't believe I did that. What the fuck am I thinking? That's the dumbest thing. Of course, dude, it's an invitation deal. Otherwise everyone would freaking apply for this thing. So anyways, I thought I'd killed myself with that deal. And then about 2 years later, in the interim, I'd been up there a bunch of times with buddies playing, gotten to know a ton of the members. A year and a half or 2 years later, relatively quickly, I got a call from the membership director out there saying, we'd like to invite you to be a junior member out here. And it was like one of the coolest things in my life, just because like the gates swung open and just the relationships, the people you meet, like all my friends are from there. You know what I mean? Not only for golf, but all the people I hang out with outside of golf. It just like, it was life-changing, legitimately.
Yeah, I heard this rumor that MyGolfSpy is going to get that like invitation into that
corporate membership.
Yeah, it was just heard that.
Yeah, you guys, what you should do is just fly down here and just drive up to the gate and tell them you'd like to apply for the junior membership.
That's what we could do.
They love when you do that. It goes over really well.
So you've got to have some stories of all of these like big name guys that you're playing with, just casual rounds of golf. And I do hear that one of them involves Phil Mickelson.
Have you spanked his ass? All right, that's what I want to hear. Have you beaten him?
Literally or figuratively?
Both. Why not?
Actually, the answer is yes to both. No, I'm kidding. So this was, man, how long ago now? Call it 8 or 9 years ago. First time I ever met Phil. And Phil's a member at Whisper Rock. He built the first golf course there, the lower golf course. That was his first design of a golf course, right? So it's like his place. Like everyone's used to seeing all the big name pro athletes and things like that. But Phil is like the guy. I would say he's the king of that place. He helped build it. He helped make it. And he's just revered in this town. And he's like a legend. So anyways, Phil will pop in every now and then for like a day or two. His swing coach is here, Andrew Getson. They'll put in some work. He'll play 18 or 36 and then blast off and go to whatever tournament he's going to. I get a phone call at night, and I was still playing professionally at the time. And it's my buddy who played with Phil at ASU. He's like, "Hey, dude, what are you doing tomorrow? The big Lefty's coming in town. You want to play?" And I was like, yeah, I think I'm available to play with Phil tomorrow. Yes, absolutely. So I was like, holy shit, it's my first time meeting Phil. I mean, it's a guy I looked up to growing up. We go out there, we're warming up. There he is. I shake his hand. I'm not a shy guy, but like seeing Phil for the first time really and like meeting him and stuff, I was kind of like, in awe a little bit, right? So we warm up, we go over. It's all pretty casual. We go to the first tee. And it's like, we got to have a bet, right? So I make a bet with Phil. And it was more money than I probably should have played Phil Mickelson for at the time. But if like, what are you going to ask Phil for? $20 Nassau? Like, come on, you know what I mean? Like that's
$1 a hole.
$5 two downs. Like Phil's going to just be like, no, let's just not even have anything. Right. So anyways, does Phil listen to y'all's show? I hope I don't get in trouble.
I'm sure he does.
He may now.
He might. Yeah. This might be his first episode.
It's not bad, but anyways, so I ended up playing him for $400. Okay. We played a $400 match, just straight up me versus him. And I was like, well, that's more than I normally play dudes for, but it's Phil. What the hell? I pay $1 million just to play with Phil, right? And then he asked me, he's like, you want shots or odds, right? And I'm like, neither, dude. If I'm playing Phil Mickelson, I'm playing freaking Phil Mickelson straight up. If I beat you with if you give me a shot or 2 shots, like that's not.
It's like cool not real. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's like, all right, straight up $400 bet. We play. We're going along. It was good golf. It wasn't anything crazy, but at the end of the day, I am 1 up with 2 to go. 17 hole is a par 3 down there, and I got the tee, and I had a 9-iron to kick in like a foot, and I'm like, oh my god, like Phil hits it to like 30 feet or something, misses. I got like a kick in. He makes me putt it. I mean, it should have been good, but I go up there and I putt it. And I'm like nervous over this putt, right? I'm like, this is it. This is the beat Phil. So I knock in this 2-footer, whatever it was. Well, we still have a hole left. So Phil says,
Presses.
all right, I'll give you the I'll give you the aloha, which aloha is double or nothing, right? So I was like, oh, okay. Well, I won the match, but like if Phil beats me on this hole, I get no money from Phil. It's like it's a wash, you know what I mean? So I'm like, shit, I gotta at least tie 1 more hole out here. So the 18th is a par 5. We played it all the way back on what they call the Phil tees. We both end up getting up and down for birdie. So we have 18 with birdie. I'm like, oh my God, I just beat Phil Mickelson. This is the sickest thing that's ever happened. I don't care what happens on the Jicky Jack tours or Q school or whatever. I can always say I beat Phil straight up. So right there on the 18th green, we go to shake hands, hey, that was fun, blah, blah, blah. And the $400 is in his hand. He hands it to me as he shakes my hand. I was like, $400. I was like, holy shit. And by this point, Phil and I have like a pretty good banter. We're back and forth and we're joking. We're having a good time. And so my buddy, who's like one of his best friends in the world, is like, dude, you know what you need to do when we get in? You need to sign one of the catalogs for him. So the catalogs at Whisper Rock, that we have like an annual catalog with all pictures and all the results from all of our tournaments and things like that. Well, if you win the club championship at Whisper Rock, the championship flight, you're on the cover. There's a cover shot of you on the cover. So I had won it that year. So I was on the cover of we call it the catalog. And he's like, dude, you got to go in and sign a catalog for him. And I'm like, I was like, seriously? Should I do it? He's like, dude, he will love it. Come give it to him at lunch and make it like a big thing. And I'm like, that's a fucking great idea. All right, I'm going to do that. So we go in, we wash up, we sit down. I'm sitting right next to Phil. He's on my right. And we order lunch. And I excuse myself. I'm going to get up real quick. I walk to the back. I grab one of the catalogs, get a Sharpie from one of the guys. And I write, Phil, you have a very nice game. Never give up. Drew Phil. And I sign it. So I put it like in my back of my pants, right? So I'm waiting for the right time, like a lull in the conversation. As soon as it dies down, I put my arm around him, like, Phil, man, hey, dude, just want to give you this as a token of my appreciation. Thank you so much for coming out. Anytime you're in town, give me a call. Happy to take you out, dude. But I liked what I saw today. I think you got a bright future in this game. Just don't give up, right? You know what I mean? And he totally goes along with it. He's like, oh my God, dude, you didn't need to do this. This is beyond nice. I didn't want to ask you for this and all this stuff. This was a serious part, actually. So I had the money that I'd won from him, and I had the Sharpie too. So I slid him $100 bill, And I said, you know what, if you could just sign this for me, we'll call it even. And I was dead serious. I was like, dude, if I got a $100 bill with Phil Mickelson's name on it, like I ain't spending it. I could be dead broke on my last dollar. So I slide him the 100 and the Sharpie, and he doesn't even look at me. He doesn't even, and he puts his hand, slides it straight back to me and says, in so many words, he said, go forget yourself. Okay.
I thought you were going to say you put it back in his pocket. And I was like, yeah.
I don't want to I'm not going to quote Phil in case it gets into something, but he basically said, forget yourself. Right. And slid it right back. And we all laughed, and I was joking around, but I was also like, damn, I really wanted that. I wanted that 100. You know what I mean? So anyways, we finished lunch. We wrap up. He walks out. This is when Bones was looping for him. They were flying to Marion at the time to play a couple of practice rounds before the U.S. Open. And then I think they were going to Memphis, which is right before the U.S. Open. Either the next day or the day after, I get a text from Bones. And Bones says, hey, dude, we just checked into the hotel in Philadelphia. Phil wanted me to let you know that he checked in under the name Drew Stoltz, and he can't thank you enough because he's never been more anonymous. And so I was like, even when you beat Phil, you don't beat Phil because he's got that. And like for the longest time, like literally to this day, every time I see Phil, is like, dude, but I'm batting 1,000. Never been hassled one time at a hotel. Nobody knows who Drew Stoltz is. Thank you. So like, you're the best $400 I ever spent and all this stuff. So I was like, all right, tip of the cap, touche. But that's kind of like our running joke. I'll have some buddies who know that story, that if they go out to I think it was Muirfield last year, someone shouted out like, let's go Drew Stoltz or something like that to Phil. And like Phil like turned his head around and gave the thumbs up or whatever. So it's kind of like our little running joke or whatever. But dude, he's been the best dude to me. Like I'm a nothing. He's the biggest deal in the world. And like from day one, he's been so cool to me and always like willing to play and wanting to have fun. He's a guy, if he likes to banter a bit out there, if you can kind of give it back and take some jabs and give some jabs too. I mean, we've had some pretty cool, fun times together. And I love the man, and seeing what he did, at the PGA was freaking, I don't care what he does for the rest of his career. That was incredible.
I was going to ask you, is he the best shit talker or is there someone better?
I think, well, here's what Phil has, and we've talked about this, like no matter what you say to Phil, you could have the most clever, witty comment about his clothes or anything, right? A shot he hits, he always has the trump card, and it comes back to like Majors won or Ryder Cups or Money Made, you know what I mean? Like the only guy that can shit on that is Tiger. And that's why when they get together, like Tiger, Phil can't bring up his green jackets or his Ryder Cups or things like that. This is another great story. I'll give you another great story right here. I just thought of. All right, so we're out at this 2-man event out at the Plantation. There's a pro scratch event out there. It's one pro and one scratch guy. It's like, normally they're like plus handicaps, and it's a ton of tour guys. It's a great event. It's one of the most fun events of the year. Well, Phil comes out there and plays, and after the first round, he's got a place over at the Madison Club. He invites a handful of us over to like play cards and have dinner and things like that, right? He's like, yo, meet over there at 7:00. We'll have a nice dinner. It'll be a good time, blah, blah, blah. We get there a little before 7 and no Phil, but the rest of us are there. And 7:10, no Phil, the rest of us are there. And then like 7:15, here comes Phil, and he's strolling down, and he's wearing a white robe and a black Padres fitted hat, right? And flip flops or whatever. Like, I mean, we're all in like, dinner clothes, like a polo, whatever, pants, normal clothes, right? And he comes down in a robe. I can't even remember what the number is, but it was his Ryder Cup robe, right? And it says Phil Mickelson, Ryder Cup, whatever year it was. He's like, sorry, boys, when you got 8 of these things, it's hard to pick out which one you want to wear or something like that. Like shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, what can you say to that? You know what I mean? But I mean, he loves it. He's quick to give the needle, but he's quick to take it. And he's just, man, he's a fun guy to be around. He's just got that juice. He's got that, the kind of that aura.
Some people, Drew, might suggest that you're a relatively accomplished shit talker yourself. Who would be on your Mount Rushmore of on-course shit talkers? Like, we got a spot for Drew. We'll put Drew on there. We'll put Phil on there. But you got 2 more spots or 3. We can find a bigger mountain, if we need to.
I'll give you an under the radar, sneaky shit talker. Very dry, very sarcastic, and like kind of subtle, but it's awesome. Is Bryce Mulder, who doesn't play on the PGA Tour anymore, but did. He's a Georgia Tech guy, arguably the greatest college golfer of all time. He won one time on tour, kind of fell out of love with golf and quit a handful of years ago. But dude, his rap it's different. It's quieter. It's not as many words. It's subtle, but he's awesome. He's really, really funny, and he can take it just as well. So Bryce Mulder would be up there. I would throw Colt into the mix too, just because he likes to keep going too. He's kind of like relentless on, you know what I mean? Just like a like a chihuahua keeps biting at your ankles. Like you can't shake him off.
He's like a chihuahua with a really low center of gravity, like whatever that.
He's hard to, yeah, dude. Low man wins. He's got a low pad level. Graham DeLette is a good one too. Graham, I mean, dude, honestly, you get out there. If you get in the right group, like, and you hit a bad shot or do something, like, it's all offense out there. You better bring your gloves, and your armor, because you're gonna get beat up. You can quickly start to have a pretty low self-esteem out there in the wrong crowd if you let this stuff get to you. But there's a lot of dudes out there. But like I said, Phil's got that trump card with just like the resume. Nobody can touch it. So what do you got to go somewhere else. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Why don't we check the mail today, guys? What do you think? Tony, are you ready for a mailbag?
Sure.
He's super excited today.
Dude, Tony's fired up.
I was going to say, I was waiting for you to...
Mailbag!
There we go. That's what I was looking for. All right. So today, Michael wants to know, and Drew or Sleeze, I'm not quite sure which one to call you now since you say no one calls you Drew anymore, but you can chime in on this too. He wants to know if you had to pick one company to play a full custom set, he says excluding the putter, who would it be? Who wants to start?
Oh, I hate that question. Man, for me, it changes by the year. I mean, right now I've got...
No, Tony, you got to narrow it down. You're not weaseling out of this one.
Yeah, Titleist.
Titleist, okay. A whole set.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
He's so depressed right now. He's like, shit.
I want your reasoning. Can you give me your reasoning?
No, he cannot.
I mean, I got right now the top of my bag and the bottom of my bag with, excluding the putter. Mm-hmm. I mean, so I got driver and fairway woods from Titleist. I got Vokey wedges, and, I always go back to the Mizuno irons, but I could make do. that's.
Are you saying that Titleist doesn't make a good iron?
Yeah, like I said, I just always go back to Mizuno. Yeah, no, we'll see. I'm excited for the new stuff, so we'll see. But yeah, I mean that's the best answer I have at this moment in time.
All right, I'll take it. Harry, what about you? What have you got?
I would go with Strixon purely because
a whole set.
Well, you got Strixon Cleveland.
Yeah, he could get the wedges there. He's good.
You get the wedges in there. You got your driving iron. I mean, for the most part, I'm hitting all my irons throughout the whole round.
You're so picky about your driver, though.
I am very picky about my driver, but like I said, I could make do of hitting 350-yard bombs with a Strixon. Yeah. I use their irons. I use their driving iron. I used to use their wedges for Cleveland wedges, so I'm right there anyway. So just throw a driver and a 3-wood in the bag, and I'm good to go.
Fair enough. Sleeze, how about you? Do you have a good answer here?
Yeah, if I'm going top to bottom, I'd go with Ping. I grew up playing them. I played. We were a Ping school in college. They took care of me when I was playing professionally. I'm brand agnostic right now, but if I had to go 1 through 14 through the bag, I'd take the putter with them too. I still putt with the Ping putter, so it would be Ping for me, just because I think it fits my eye and I'm so used to it. I think they do a great job through the bag.
All right, solid answer. You knew that one. Chris, what do you got? What are you playing?
So I'm going to answer your question with a question.
Here we go. Jesus, Tony.
Why am I not surprised?
I'm sorry, I've started this.
Yep, this is on you, Tony. I thought Sleeze was going to say whatever I told him to play, too, because he'll, text me, hey, is this new club any good? Hey, what about this shaft? Is that shaft any good, or whatever? And again, if I had, I would leverage part of the mortgage on my house if Drew plays amateur stuff. He could be the best mid-am in the country, for sure, so...
Thank you.
All right, so question with a question. What was our number one most wanted player's iron last year?
Harry, what do we got?
Why are you coming to me? Jeez, Mizuno.
Nope. Wasn't it Hanma, the TR20V?
Yeah, it was.
Probably.
Number one player's iron.
That's the only one that Mizuno didn't win, I think, then.
Okay, so what was same year? Most wanted wedge.
Hanma
TW4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you about to say Hanma?
I am. Miranda, you're picking up what I'm putting down here.
I'm stepping in what you're smelling or smelling what you're stepping in, whatever that is.
So you look at the drivers. Again, it was the first collaboration totally between the U.S. design team, which was headed by a gentleman no longer there, Chris McGinley, but he had a long time tenure.
I was going to say, when's the second or third one coming?
I don't know, but as of right now today, even just looking at our most wanted testing top to bottom, you could make a very, very solid argument that if we were to do a most wanted players cup, Hanma would be top 3 in that.
So Chris,
Yes.
I'm surprised you're playing that iron because it didn't do that well. It came middle to lower part of the pack for forgiveness. And I know you miss-hit shots quite regularly, so you might
Not this guy.
You might be getting on that, to be honest.
Well, you haven't seen my game recently. Yeah, maybe, but it's a full-on cavity back. Mizuno would be right there too, though. But I'm going Hanma for my official
He's got like 7
answer.
answers. This is the kind of stuff I get yelled at for.
I have 7 kids. I get one answer. I get one answer for each kid. I get a write-off of my taxes.
We did get some specific mailbag questions for you, Drew. Let's see. Why are all of these about food? Do you talk about food a lot on your radio show?
Never.
If you looked at Drew's calves, you would not think he ever eats.
If you see my physique, Miranda, this would make sense. Next time I'll do like a full body thing.
Okay, that would be helpful. I'm going to require all guests to do an up down first so that I know what I'm dealing with.
You will understand when you see the 5 inches above my kneecap. It looks like I've been on a hunger strike for the last decade.
And that's total circumference. That's not diameter.
No, dude, it's all the way.
Someone else just said training aids, so I'll adapt it and ask what your favorite, if any, training aids are.
Yeah, I'll give you one full swing one, and it's the only thing that I use. I'm a very non-technical player. I don't really care about positions and all that. I just care about ball flight. But the one thing that I used to get in trouble with was my tempo, especially from the top, quick transition, which a lot of guys struggle with. So there's a club, I think it's a teacher I used to work with for a minute, Gabe Yerdstead. It's called Gabe Golf, and it's basically an 8-iron. It's nothing special, but there's like BBs or weights or something inside the shaft. So basically you take it back and you let the BBs fall. You can hear the BBs like fall down the shaft when you're in the transition at the top, the weights drop. And it just forces you to like, all right, take it to the top. Then you can hear something that signifies like, all right, now there's been a pause at the top of your golf swing.
So it's a trigger.
Yeah, exactly. And you can cater, like I used to take it to the top. And once I heard the beads start falling, I would go down. Some people like to put it up there in Hideki, wait for a second, let them drop all the way to the bottom and then go. I just practiced with that a lot because it just gave me that little slight pause at the top. And it was so basic. Like there's no zero technique or anything like that or positions. It's just, give it a second at the top. So that would be my full swing. And then with the putter, the only thing I ever use, and I think it's the only thing you need, is the thing where you put the ball on and there's you got the 2 BBs on the end of it, and you try to put it through the BBs without hitting it. And you can set it on different lines. You know what I'm talking about? Is that Pels? I don't even know if that's Pels.
Pels has one, a couple others come out, but basically it's like a mini gate drill. Like
you can make them narrower or wider, whatever ones you want.
Yeah, you can make it. There's like expert, medium, and beginner basically. So that was the only thing I traveled with for putting. I would hit straight putts. Once I did that, then I'd go find right to lefts, left to rights. And it's amazing how
all on the beginner stage, right?
I didn't even use the BBs, dude. Yeah, I super glued the BBs into the slot so that no one would know. Like, oh my God, dude, Drew never misses. Idiots.
One of the last mailbag questions was a request for your what's in the bag. You've alluded to a couple of things, but do you want to give us the top to bottom what you're playing right now?
All right, what's in the bag? I got the PXG forged wedges. I think they're the Zulus. I don't know. I grinded them. They have very little bounce. I'm a no bounce guy. I like to lay that thing pretty open when I chip. So I got those wedges. I got the Gen 1 PXG blade irons. I think it's the T's. I got the PXG original OG hybrid. So I've got the other hybrids, but it's not as good. I don't hit it as good. I spin it more. So I really do like that hybrid. So there's one wood, I guess, if you want to call it that I play from PXG. I got an old school, and I'll probably whiff on the which model, old Ping 3-wood. I think it's a G30. Does that sound real?
Is it blue on the bottom? Is it blue?
It's a blue, but dude, it's like old, like it's like not even close to like one of their new ones. It's one of the only ones at the time, 3-woods I ever had that I could hit off the deck. I could hit off the ground really well and hit it high enough to potentially like hold the green, but also not spin it off the tee. So I got that in the bag still. And then I got the Sim driver. I don't even know which one it is. I know what shaft I got. It's that Diamana black nickel. I think I sent you the picture of it one time.
Yep.
Whatever that Diamana X. I think it's either 65 or 75 grams. I don't know which one. Like I told y'all, dude, I'm terrible with tech. I don't know.
I think you kept screwing up the name sometimes on purpose of it. But
that's when we were talking about the Tesla shaft, which is actually the Tinsy or whatever that everyone plays. I was like, I tried the Tesla, but I wasn't as good.
For a second, you had me going. I was like, Tesla's doing shafts.
Dude, Elon probably has that tucked away. He's probably got the best shaft ever. But yeah, I hit that Tesla. It wasn't as good as the Diamana, so I got the Diamana. And then my putter, dude. This is my only. You can steal my whole bag. My golf clubs get stolen. They can have them, take them. There's a lot of good stuff out there. Just leave me my putter. It is a Wolverine. Old Ping Wolverine, center shafted with that white insert. And I built it up to, it's like 37.5 inches. I don't think I've changed the grip since I stopped playing golf, which has been 6 years ago. Bury me with that thing because I love it. I've experimented a little bit here and there with other putters, always go back to that putter. And I mean, that thing's my bread and butter. That thing's got bodies on it like Chapo.
Tony, you were nodding. Is that something that you were like, ooh, good choice?
Well, it's kind of an odd choice, so that's always cool when it's something that's a little outside the mainstream. I mean, that Wolverine is not Ping's most popular design, but it's definitely kind of one of those cool ones, you know? Love it.
Yeah, I think the only guy that uses it on tour that I'm aware of is Nate Lashley uses the exact same one, except his is standard length. And Nate and I used to, we played a ton together. We had very similar specs and preferences on putters. So he and I used to pass putters around. I'd go into Ping and I'd be like, yo, what Nate come in here and try? Let me see those because we always like the same stuff. But I think he's the only dude that uses it. And then Harris English was using not the center shaft. He was using a Wolverine, different model, but same insert. And his was the gooseneck. I just have the center shafted OG.
You know what I'm interested in? Because I do all the soft goods. What shoes do you wear? Right?
Oh, good question.
Very good question.
Harry's a big feet guy.
I like that. I've moved since I stopped playing golf. I'm pretty much exclusively Jordans, I think. I don't know if I own. I should take that back. I got one of those Nike, those low trainers, that are the rubber soled ones that I kind of wear if it's iffy weather.
Air Max kind of thing.
They're good in the desert. Yeah, those Air Max ones. But I pretty much, dude, wear Jordans across the board. I mean, I have a few pairs of the 11s. I got the Wolf Gray 11s. I got the all white 11s, the black patent leather 11s, which I've only worn one time. They're really hot on your feet, especially in Arizona. It's like my feet just melt in those things. I have a pretty decent little collection of Jordan golf shoes, which is kind of, about when I quit was kind of when they started coming out more and more with those things. And I vowed, I was like, I'll never wear another. Dude, by the way, I haven't walked around a golf that I've played. And I caddied for Wyndham Clark last week at Colonial. And on the first practice round hole, I was like, dude, I shit you not. I cannot remember the last time I walked 18 holes, much less with this big ass golf bag you got with all this crap. I was like, I honestly haven't walked 18 in ages. I mean, I'm carts, drinks, music, drive up to the ball, and let's go have a time. So,
Harry, did you just die a little inside with that answer?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
Why are you like a purist? Walk the course?
No. I test all the shoes, so I was like, Jordans. We definitely have to test Jordans.
You can get them,
but Nikes haven't done that well in the testing, to be honest. So you're a style kind of guy. I like a little bit of style.
Yeah, dude, 100%. Because like I said, dude, if I have to walk more than 7 steps to my golf ball, the only time I walk is when we park. I don't need stability. I don't need all this stuff. If there's enough spike for me to feel like I'm, solid on the ground, that's pretty much it. And I need something that looks good with the socks.
Now, when you caddied last week, didn't I see a video of you caressing the sand?
Oh, you saw that, huh?
It was kind of sexual, but a little bit creepy.
It wasn't a little sexual. It was a lot sexual, but it was like the Titanic love scene. Was
the PGA Tour guys, they didn't film anything about that really good shot that it just happened from the bunker. They filmed you.
Oh, Wyndham hit it to this. Yeah.
Just caressing the sand.
That was our first bunker of the week. I'd gotten a couple, these players and caddy, everyone was giving me shit for being out there and having a good time with it. But at some point it was like they were acting like I'd never been on a golf course before. Dude, do you even know how to rake a bunker? I was like, yeah, I think I can break a fucking bunker, dude. I hit it in 8 million of these things. You know what I mean? Relax. I've actually, believe it or not, I've been on a course before. But anyways, that was our first one of the week. And Wyndham, luckily, he flipped it up there to a foot. Yeah. It was a perfect shot. So he was dead. All I had to do was hand him my putter. And I was like, and that's a popular spot. That bunker I knew was going to get hit a lot that day. And I was like, the last thing that can happen is if I catch shit for a bad rake job and a player gets a bad lie or something. So, dude, I spent 90 seconds on rake jobs that would take normal guys 12. You know what I mean? Dude, I was like, oh.
All it needed was David Attenborough in the background and it would be perfect.
That was my magnum opus of bunker raking, dude. That thing was like my pride and joy. I took very big pride in my bunker raking. But then like Kurt Byram was up in the tower, Colt was on the call, and they were just waiting for a potential opportunity to like if Wyndham could get on to make fun of me, and then they took full advantage.
All right, everybody. We got to let Sleeze get back to his day, so we're going to call this one here. Don't forget, we're back every Tuesday. You can catch us here. We also are always collecting mailbag questions, so if you have questions you want us to answer on the show, you can leave it in the comments. You can check all of our social media channels and send it to us that way. We look at all of them. Doesn't matter to us. Sleeze, thank you so much for being here with us. We certainly appreciate it, and we'd love to have you back.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank y'all for having me. You guys do a great job. And anytime you need someone to fill some time, I'm here.
I like the stories. They work for me. All right. Until next time, everybody, we out. How long has it been since we've seen putters from Cobra?
Well, I couldn't tell you the exact date.
Come on. That's why I have you here.
I know. The last time I recall, they had, you remember the Bobby Grace series?
Yeah.
Chris, I'm sure you remember.
Yeah.
It's been a long, long time. I mean, I think...